What if the people you trust most are hiding the darkest secrets? Today, we're unraveling a chilling thriller where the line between protector and predator blurs completely. A story where you won't guess how many killers are hiding in plain sight until the very last moment. The film opens with a brutal act. A young nurse is murdered in her shower, her throat slit by an unseen assailant. The scene is cleaned with disturbing precision. Then, the clock rewinds 3 months. Evan, a high school counselor dedicated to helping traumatized children victims of violence, rape, and bullying. His wife, Lauren, is 9 months pregnant. They are anxious but excited first-time parents. Evan mentions his mother, Mary, will come to help, which visibly stresses Lauren, hinting at a strained relationship. During a painful labor, Lauren gives birth to their son. But Evan's face is hollow and tense, not joyful. He's clearly haunted by a terrifying memory from his past. Mary arrives at the hospital. She scolds a rough nurse handling the baby, who snaps back. Mary muttered that the nurse was rude. That night, holding his son, Evan made a passionate vow to never hurt him, never look down on him, and never leave him, promising to never let anything bad happen to him. It sounded like a promise, but felt like a penance. The troubles of parenthood mount. Breastfeeding is difficult. The baby cries all night, pushing the exhausted couple to their brink. Lauren nears depression, and Evan feels a profound helplessness. Mary moves in to help. She told Evan to take care of Lauren, but, crucially, to fix himself and move on from the shadows, soothing him like a child and assuring him that everything was okay now that mom was there. At work, Evan listens to students with home lives mirroring his own traumatic childhood. Flashbacks show his father beating him, only for his mother to chase the man away with a knife. The pressure overwhelms him. He begins zoning out during sessions and suffers from insomnia. He started sneaking out at night after Lauren fell asleep, taking a duffel bag and driving aimlessly, returning before dawn. When Lauren asked, he brushed it off by saying he couldn't sleep and was just driving. Lauren, feeling like a failure as a mother, feared Evan would leave with the baby. He reassured her that he would never leave and would love them with all his might. One night, Lauren discovered the baby had a fever and Evan was gone. She rushed to the hospital alone. Evan arrived later, again claiming he was out driving. The baby was fine. As they left, Lauren went to put the baby in the car, and Evan panicked when he saw a stained piece of plastic sticking out of the trunk. Mary quickly blocked Lauren's view and ushered her into the car. The pressure mounted. Evan held his son and confessed that he was trying to make them all happy, but it was so hard. He got a call from a student, Chris, a black youth he trusted. Chris said his absentee father had returned and beat him again. Evan comforted him, telling him it wasn't his fault and that he would make sure he was safe. That night, Evan slipped out again. He returned and stared blankly at his sleeping son. Mary approached, stroked his face, and said she was glad he was taking care of himself, while gently wiping a smudge of dirt from his neck. Lauren confronted Evan about his absences, crying that she needed him. He held her and promised he would always be there. A news report on TV changed everything. 3 bodies were found in a vacant lot. All 3 victims had histories of domestic violence, and their children were students at Evan's school. Evan stared coldly at the screen. Mary looked up at him, understanding dawning. The bereaved students confessed to Evan that their father's deaths had brought them more pain, not relief. Chris said, "He wasn't a good father, but he was my father. I'll never get the chance to see him become better." Evan, trying to comfort him, suggested the father's recent kindness might be because Chris's mother had inherited money. Chris was shocked and asked how Evan knew about the inheritance, since he never told him. Evan backtracked, claiming Chris must have forgotten. Detectives arrived. The link between the victims and Evan's school was clear. They asked Lauren if Evan went out at night. Before she could answer, Mary interjected, insisting her son was a responsible man. Pressed, Lauren hesitantly said no. The detective asked if she was a heavy sleeper. Mary glanced nervously at a metal statue. The baby cried, providing an escape. The next day, the detective returned. He showed Lauren a photo placing Evan's car elsewhere the night of the baby's hospital visit. Lauren, though nervous, defended him passionately, explaining the immense stress he was under and justifying his nightly drives. Later, another news report detailed the murder of a nurse, the same one from the hospital. Evan and Mary shared a knowing look. He simply told her to turn off the TV. That night, Chris burst into their home, holding Evan at gunpoint. He screamed that he knew Evan killed his father because he knew about the inheritance. Evan calmly disarmed him, held him from behind, and even momentarily pressed the gun to Chris's head before putting it down. Lauren watched everything from the shadows. Chris fled, forgetting his gun. Later, Evan fed his son and whispered that he hoped he would think he was a good man who helped people, adding that sometimes life backs you into a corner and you have no choice. Lauren watched this on the baby monitor, now certain of his guilt. The next morning, she searched his office. A hidden tape recorder fell from a hollowed-out book. The recording horrified her. Reading the news clippings, she pieced it all together. At breakfast, Mary told Lauren that children and families needed protection, and that sometimes the cost was high but worth it. Handing her coffee, she added that Lauren grew up without a family and knew how hard that was, and that her grandson wouldn't have to live through that. She said they all do what they have to do. Understanding the threat, Lauren called Evan, saying she was getting her nails done. Then she called Chris and told him she believed him and that they should meet because they were all in danger. She drove to a desolate construction site. Evan arrived home, and Mary asked him if he trusted Lauren. He replied that she would never do anything to harm the family. He then followed her. At the site, Lauren pulled out Chris's gun. She told him Evan did kill his father but did it for him. Then she suddenly turned the gun and shot Chris dead. She placed the gun in his hand and used his phone to post a confession. Watching from a distance, Evan smiled. News soon reported Chris's suicide and confession. The visiting detective closed the case, though his final glance at the family was deeply suspicious. In the final scene, Evan and Lauren smiled at their sleeping son, with Mary watching over them. Flashbacks revealed the full truth. Evan killed the 3 abusers on his nightly outings. Mary killed the rude nurse. And most shockingly, an 8-year-old Evan was shown stabbing his abusive father to death to protect his mother, who then buried the body and told him he did nothing wrong, that she loved him, and that she would never let anything happen to him. The cycle was complete. A family of 4, all but the infant, were murderers, bound by a deadly secret and a twisted belief that violence was protection. And that is the dark, twisted tale of the kindred. A chilling exploration of how trauma can corrupt love into something deadly, and how the cycle of violence can poison a bloodline from one generation to the next. If the story kept you on the edge of your seat, let us know what film we should dive into next. Like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.